Hello, Inedigabitti, this is Nocturne Gallery. You can learn something new about art in this video, or if you just want to enjoy the paintings and music, switch the audio track to Esperanto. There you'll hear only the music and see the artworks. Relax and enjoy art your way.
Welcome to the Nocturne Gallery. Today we are opening the door to a vision that's really quite something. It's dazzling, terrifying, and, well, profoundly unsettling. We're talking about Hieronymus Bosch.
Bosch, yes. He passed away in 1516, and he stands right at one of history's great sort of cultural breaking points. He was working in the Netherlands, Bosch specifically, right when the late Middle Ages were kind of collapsing.
A scary time to be alive, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. You had huge social and geopolitical shifts, constant war, economic chaos, and maybe most importantly, this intense, almost paralyzing feeling that the apocalypse was just around the corner.
And he really captured that feeling, didn't he? It's like he was a visionary, pulling in these high-level theological ideas, but also reflecting the weird humor and, dark street rituals.
Exactly. And his patrons weren't just local folks. We're talking the Habsburg elite, people like Emperor Charles V. Big names.
So he's mixing high and low culture, elite fears, and popular beliefs.
Precisely. And this unique mix means his art. Well, it requires us to read his imagery, all that strange, chaotic stuff, as a kind of coded language. So our goal today really is to try and unpack that language, understand the anxieties, the symbols, the social commentary that makes his work feel, both ancient and incredibly modern at the same time.
Okay, so where do we start? Maybe with the most obvious thing, the monsters.
Good place to start. Yeah, the monsters. His hellscapes. They're just teeming with these unbelievable, nightmarish hybrid creatures.
Why? Why invent this whole new hysteria of horror?
Well, it comes straight out of that deep, deep medieval anxiety we mentioned. Think about it. His generation dealt with the memory of the Black Death, constant wars, and a real crisis of faith in big institutions. The papacy was fractured, seen as corrupt.
So when the world feels like it's falling apart.
Exactly. You start looking for visual metaphors for that corruption, that decay, and monsters fit the bill perfectly.
But monsters weren't totally new.
Right.
Ancient Egypt had animal-headed gods, and medieval manuscripts had those little weird guys in the margins. Trollery. And even the gargoyles on the cathedral in his own town, St. John's. Hybrid creatures were around. But Bosch, he took that existing idea, the hybrid form, and he twisted it. He made it sinister, darker.
So these drolleries weren't just funny little drawings for him?
No, not at all. He used them as a visual code for sin itself. They represent the chaotic, the dark, sometimes even the ridiculous side of creation gone wrong. But what's really brilliant and terrifying is how he grounds this spiritual horror in, everyday stuff.
Ah, yes, the kitchen utensils. That's always struck me. His demons aren't just breathing fire, they're using meat hooks and skewers.
Exactly. Oversized knives, cooking pots, it makes hell feel disturbingly familiar, almost domestic. It's suggesting that the real corruption isn't some faraway evil force, it's right here. Human, domestic. Sinners are literally being cooked, processed, consumed by evil using the tools of everyday life. Chilling. And this wasn't just Bosch pulling things out of thin air, was it? He was influenced by what people were reading.
Oh, heavily. Popular texts like The Vision of Tyndale were huge back then. These were graphic spiritual guidebooks, really. They described in meticulous detail the specific torments waiting for sinners. Souls being eaten, dissolved, reformed, just to suffer endlessly.
Wow. So Bosch was basically illustrating these popular horror stories for the masses.
Pretty much. He put those literary horrors onto the canvas, making the consequences of sin incredibly vivid, unforgettable. It was a powerful warning.
Okay, so he's tapping into this deep apocalyptic fear, but he's also looking at everyday human stupidity, right?
Yeah.
The folly of it all.
Right. Which brings us to what you might call the theater of folly. Bosch was really tuned into popular culture, especially carnival.
Carnival, the time when everything gets turned upside down.
Exactly. Social rules suspended, mocked, travesty, they called it. The world upside down. Bosch loved that concept. He used that spirit of mockery for some sharp social critiques. The classic example is The Ship of Fools.
Ah, yes. The boatload of idiots.
Basically, yeah, it's this perfect image. The whole world as a ship full of moral fools just drifting towards disaster. You see them totally absorbed in their vices, often led by a literal fool playing music, oblivious to the danger. It's saying, look, when the authorities are failing, Everyone's just lost in their own foolishness.
And that theme of worthless pursuits gets even clearer in the Haywain Triptych, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The Haywain is key. That huge central image, the wagon piled high with hay.
Okay, so why hay? What did that mean to people then?
Well, in sermons and biblical interpretations of the time, hay was the ultimate symbol of futility, worldly stuff, vanity. Vanitas. Hay looks substantial, but it's basically worthless. It's like tinsel, it rots. It represents all earthly goods, temporary, corruptible.
You have this big pile of essentially worthless stuff.
And all around it, Bosch paints people from every single social class. You've got monks, peasants, soldiers, nobles, all fighting, stealing, cheating, sinning, just desperate to grab a handful of this worthless hay.
It's quite a damning picture of society.
It really is. And look where the procession is headed. It's being led by demons, figures of excess straight towards hell, which you see depicted graphically on the right panel. Bosch is basically shouting, chasing earthly wealth. That's a road paved by the devil leading straight to damnation.
It's incredibly blunt, especially considering Bosch himself was, by all accounts, a respectable, pious guy. He was in the Brotherhood of Our Lady, right? A prestigious religious group.
He was, which suggests his critique wasn't against the faith itself, but against the failure of people clergy included to live up to it. He's using the very real fear of hell to shock people back onto the right path.
And that shock tactic is maybe nowhere more intense than in his most famous, most mind-bending work, The Garden of Earthly Delights. That central panel. It's an explosion of activity.
It really is. It's basically the ultimate picture of lust, luxuria.
You have to remember the context here. Medieval thinking saw sexuality, even for having children, as inherently tainted by the fall of man. A necessary evil, maybe, but still tied to sin. And Bosch just cranks that idea up to 11. It's this manic, over-the-top garden of pleasure.
Totally. And the whole landscape is coded. It's dense with symbols of carnal desire, almost overwhelmingly so.
Like the fruit. There's so much fruit.
Exactly. Look closely. Naked figures everywhere eating huge exotic fruits, cherries, strawberries, grapes. These were common visual metaphors back then for sex, for forbidden pleasure, for fleeting desires. They're literally gorging on sin.
What about the people riding animals in that central pool?
Ah, yes, the round pool. You see men riding bears, boars, goats, sometimes strange composite animals. These figures represent the dullards of Venus. They symbolize men who've completely given into lust, ruled by their animal desires, often implying they're subjugated by female power too. It's a world controlled by pleasure.
There are also those weird structures, people inside giant shells or glass bubbles.
The glass spheres are fascinating. They often symbolize the fragility of life, of pleasure. It's like saying these people engaged in sin are living in a bubble, unaware that reality and judgment is about to shatter it. A fleeting, self-contained fantasy.
But it's not just the central panel. Even the first panel, the depiction of Eden, it feels off, compromised.
Absolutely right. It's paradoxical. Even in paradise, with Adam and Eve's creation, you see evil is already lurking, that strange fountain in the middle. There's a sinister-looking owl inside it. An owl, for Bosch, often meant spiritual blindness, evil, temptation.
And the animals.
You see predators already killing prey. The implication is pretty chilling. Sin wasn't just something that happened after the fall. Maybe it was woven into the fabric of the world from the start.
So these big triptychs show these huge scenes of collective sin, this overwhelming chaos. But then when the panels are closed, the outside often shows something very different.
A complete contrast, yes. When all that inner chaos is hidden, you're often left with this solitary figure. The Peddler, sometimes called the prodigal son, usually painted in grisaille, those grayish monochrome tones, which visually sets this lonely soul's journey apart from the bright, chaotic world of sin inside.
He seems like a guidepost, almost. Patched clothes, carrying a basket, maybe the burden of sin or soul, and he's on this narrow, difficult path.
And crucially, he's making a choice. You often see him turning away from temptation, like a nearby tavern or brothel. There might be a snarling dog nearby, symbolizing the devil nipping at his heels. The image screams that salvation isn't collective, it's a personal journey, a constant hard choice between the easy pull of the world and the tough road to grace. It directly echoes the prodigal son parable, the need for individual repentance.
The relentless chaos inside, solitary struggle and choice outside. That feels like a good summary of Bosch's worldview.
It does. And it brings us back to Bosch himself, the paradox.
Yeah.
Here's this devout, respected community man creating art that was instantly controversial. Centuries later, some called him a heretic, others a genius inventor.
His influence was huge right away, wasn't it? Lots of copies and followers popped up after he died.
Immediately. But his big comeback, his modern rediscovery, really happened in the 20th century.
The Surrealists.
Yes. Figures like Dali, Magritte, they were utterly captivated by him. They loved his psychological depth, his rejection of, rational logic, his mix of beauty and terror. They basically hailed him as a proto-surrealist, someone exploring the subconscious centuries early.
And his work still resonates. Maybe because he visualized the anxieties of his own rapidly changing world so powerfully that it still speaks to our own psychological tensions today?
I think so. Bosch used the certainty of hellfire, that terrifying, cooking, consuming kitchen of eternal torment, to hold up a mirror to his society and scare them into behaving better. So maybe a final thought for you listening. If Bosch created that vision of hell to reflect the vices of his time, what kind of modern hell might an artist create today? A technological hell, a psychological one. What mirror would reflect our deepest anxieties and failings?